Hi, I'm John Cena. Smash the like button if you believe that Keith Lee is better off going to TNA.
So I'm hearing that Keith Lee, his contract is about to come up. And I'm hearing that Tony Khan might not resign him. So where do I think Keith Lee should go? I think Keith Lee, he needs to take his ass to TNA. Let's say he was to go back to the World Wrestling Federation. That would be a huge mistake. Listen, I'm very consistent. I don't want every cast-off going to the World Wrestling Federation. When it comes to Malachi Black, that's different. That guy, he still has upside. He's being booked like shit. If he was in the hands of Triple H, his mentor, he would be a top guy, I guarantee it, on Raw. On Raw, bitch. I'm gonna tell you what hurt the career of Keith Lee. It was one tweet. People will forever hold that tweet over his head for the rest of his career as long as Gunther the Ring is being pushed. This dude said, if what I'm hearing about Walter is true, he said, poor Walter. This dude felt pity about his name change, right? I was the only guy online, on the internet, on YouTube. I was the only one saying, Gunther, that's a great name. I said, he looks like a Gunther. People were burying the name, but I wasn't. This is why people sub to my channel. It's because of shit like that. I speak out. I speak facts. Look where Gunther is at right now. I made that video 2 years ago. I said, who gives a fuck about his name? He's going to be a star on the main roster. Was I wrong? And I said Gunther was going to have a long IC title reign. I said that in a video the moment he beat Ricochet. Was I wrong? Now, the more Gunther is being pushed, man, that makes Keith Lee look bad, right? Ever since Keith Lee made that comment on Twitter, who has had the better career since that tweet, right? That tweet, man, it did not age well. It's like apples and oranges, man. It's like the multiverse. That was a bad tweet because what the fuck has Keith Lee done since that tweet? And what has Gunther, what has he done since that tweet? Man, he proved all you marks wrong. He proved Keith Lee wrong. He proved everybody wrong. Every fucking podcaster was just burying Gunther. Y'all thought he was going to be released. Y'all thought his name change was a burial. And I'm like, what the fuck? No, bitch. I said no. Vince McMahon likes him. That's what I said. I said Vince McMahon is going to give him a monster push, which he did before he stepped down. So, does Keith Lee have upside on Raw or SmackDown, just in case he was to leave All Elite fake pro wrestling? Hell no. I think he would be a low tier mid-carder. I think he would be the Black Braun Strowman. See, based on where Braun Strowman is at, I think he would be Braun Strowman and he would be Bronson Reed. He would not be a main eventer. No way, hell no. He would not be a main eventer. I don't see it. He has weight issues and he has health issues. I just can't see it, right? To me, he has no upside on Raw or SmackDown. I feel like him being a star on Raw or SmackDown, I think that ship has sailed. Even under Triple H, that ship has sailed. I don't think Triple H would give him a monster push. I don't see it. I mean, look at Bronson Reed. No way. Look at Braun Strowman. That's who he would be. He would be Braun Strowman. Just a guy that's booked as an attraction, but not as a top dog, not as a top main eventer. I see him being booked as the next Braun Strowman. The current Braun Strowman, I think that will be Keith Lee. So no, I don't think he should go back to the World Wrestling Federation. You see, I'm very consistent. I don't want every motherfucking jobber on Raw or SmackDown from All Elite Wrestling. Because, listen, when it comes to Mr. Lee, I'm sorry, he has no more upside on Raw or SmackDown. So, where should he go? Because I don't think Khan is going to give him a fucking push. It's not going to happen. Based on Swerve Scott has leapfrogged Keith Lee on the roster. And these guys were tag team partners, tag team champions. And look where Swerve Scott is at. And look where Keith Lee is at. Look, even before his health issues, Keith was a mid-carder. He was being booked like shit. He was being exposed. Hell, I said Hobbs was better. I said that Powerhouse Hobbs was better than Keith Lee, and I was right. Man, he has not looked good ever since he went to All Elite Wrestling. They have exposed him as a Triple H guy, right? They exposed him as a Triple H project, where the only time he looks good is when he is under Triple H. But I feel like that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. I think Triple H has moved on. There's other better talent on Raw and SmackDown that is better than Keith Lee. Man, that's crazy, man. Swerve Scott has leapfrogged him on the roster. Who saw that coming? But I think Keith Lee would be a star in TNA. I think he needs to take his ass to TNA. I feel like that's his best option. I think that would turn around his career. I think TNA would give him a monster push. Imagine Moose versus Keith Lee. That would be a great match. Listen, I know damn well TNA would give Keith Lee a monster push. I swear to God. I think TNA is made for a guy like a Keith Lee. Why? Because I think they will book him like Monty Brown. Why not? Imagine Moose versus Keith Lee. I think he has huge upside in TNA. I think that's his best bet. I think we will see the old Keith Lee from NXT. I swear to God. I think they will book him like the old Keith Lee from NXT if he was to go to TNA. Listen, I have a great track record. Remember, I told Ali, look here, man, take your ass to TNA. And he left for TNA. I said Dolph Ziggler should go to New Japan Pro Fake Wrestling and TNA. And guess what? He did it. So I have a great track record when I tell guys, take your ass to TNA. Because that's your best option. I feel like that company fits Keith Lee. Because if he was to go to TNA, it will be no pressure, right? He will have zero pressure on him. If he was on Raw or SmackDown, guess what? Guys like me will compare his run on the black and gold NXT to his main roster run. Will Keith Lee live up to his black and gold NXT rep? I think not. I think he will fail on Raw or SmackDown. I think that will be a mistake. He wouldn't live up to the expectations from the old school fans that saw him on the black and gold NXT. So I think Keith Lee should take his ass to TNA because I feel like shit. He's better than half that roster. That's the point of this whole video. TNA, they need Keith Lee. I think he's better than half that roster. I think he's better than half the guys in the main event scene on TNA. Imagine Joe Hendry versus Keith Lee. Now, what if Keith Lee signs with TNA? And what if he makes cameos on the new NXT? Why not? Just for nostalgia. I feel like, man, that's a great option. That's his best bet, right? Because that means he don't gotta go to the main roster. He will make appearances on NXT thanks to the partnership that they have, right? So listen, he will have no pressure. The people in the crowd from NXT, they still love Keith Lee. So yes, I think that's his best bet, his best option. Take your ass to TNA. Leave All Elite Fake Pro Wrestling. Man, he failed. He was a complete failure in the hands of Tony Khan, man. I will never forget. People called him a game changer. That was crazy. I'm like, what the fuck? How was he a game changer? What game was he changing? Right? I'm like, what the fuck? Man, all these Smart Mark podcasters, man. I'm like, man, how do y'all got more subs than me if you are always wrong? I told the world, I'm like, bro, Keith Lee ain't no motherfucking game changer. But these Smart Mark podcasters were telling me he was a game changer for All Elite Wrestling. Nigga, y'all said that fucking Malachi Black was a game changer. Y'all told me that Andre Idol was a game changer for All Elite fake pro wrestling. Yeah, that did not age well. Now did it? I said, listen, none of these guys are going to be game changers because Con Man don't know how to book guys from NXT. Only Triple H does. Case in point, look how good Andrade is doing on SmackDown. Like I said, bitch, only Triple H knows how to book his black and gold guys from NXT. That's facts on motherfucking facts. But why did Keith Lee fail in All Elite Wrestling? Well, it's obvious. Keith got lazy. He got complacent. He had weight issues. It's like he got kind of slower, and I feel like his skills have gone downhill. But I think Keith can still make a comeback, only if he goes to TNA. I think TNA will turn things around for him. Like I said, there's gonna be no pressure if he goes to TNA. But if he goes back to the World Wrestling Federation, hell no. There's gonna be high expectations on his head that he's not going to live up to. Like I said, he's been there, done that. Okay, how about you take your ass to TNA? So that's my advice for Keith Lee. Because I think Con Man is not going to bring him back. Like, why? Why would he? Con Man hates big men. That's the part that people are not trying to bring up. First off, Keith Lee is a big guy. And Con Man, he hates big men. So obviously, Swerve Scott was going to be booked better than Keith Lee. But to make a long story short, I'm telling you, man, that tweet that he made about Walter, man, that hurt his career forever.